Studio 41 Football Recap Live is brought to you by Studio 41 Home Design Showroom. 13 locations, studio41.com. Vertical, in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. Verticalchimney.com. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons. Heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons. The Illinois Tollway. If you're a true Chicago fan who loves speed and efficiency, join the team that always wins. Sign up for iPass today. Driving to the Bears game? You get a 50% discount on your tolls with iPass. Hey, welcome in Studio 41 Football Recap Live. The first to announce that the offensive line is player of the game. Right there, we brought this out. There you go. Our Olin jersey.
You had to take Thayer's name off of that, I'm sure.
Nope. I went right on NFLshop.com and said, I'd like a Kreutz 57, please. We have a Waddle 16 right there from Boston College.
I'm sure. And then we got to get yours up there, Cap, from that one catch you said you caught. Remember that story we all heard about?
Yeah.
The block you made, Hamlin Universe, Hamlin.
Mighty Hamlin Pipers. Let's get into our Four Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric game day breakdown. Bears. They drubbed the Philadelphia Eagles up front, 24-15, an ass-kicking, complete, dominant performance. All right, guys, you guys have at it because the offensive line absolutely won that football game. Defensive line did their job slowing down Saquon Barkley and the Eagles, but this game was won up front on the offensive line. Your guys' thoughts?
I deferred to the Hall of Fame center. This is Olin's time to shine right here. That offensive line, you had to be proud, my friend.
Well, it was a fun game to watch them physically dominate the Philadelphia Eagles, especially with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and Phillips from Miami and Nakobe Dean and all the guys they have there, right? Braun, and they have a really good front now. We all know that Fangio will give you yards. He'll give you rushing yards as long as he doesn't give you points, right? And all up to the fourth quarter, it was 10-9 until Nashawn Wright caused that fumble on the 12-yard line. So Fangio will give you defenses that say run the ball, but not a lot of teams can execute and run the ball like the Chicago Bears did. They were physical up front. I thought Dahlman had a great game against a massive human being in Jordan Davis. One of the funniest plays of the game, I thought, guys, was the Bears had 200-plus yards rushing, and Jordan Davis made a play and then flexed. And I was like, do you not know how many yards this team has on you, right? Dahlman, Ozzie Trapillo having another great game. Obviously, the tight ends are involved. The receivers are involved. Caleb Williams, man, controlling. Remember early in the year, they fumbled a jet sweep, all the motions, all the offsides, all the cadence. Caleb Williams doing a really nice job controlling all the things that Ben Johnson, Dan Rochar, Eric Bieniemy, the guys who put together the run game, tight end coach Jim Dre, what they want done in the run game. And they had, I'm sure you guys saw it, they had the Eagles in a blender, man, with the motions and the way they were running things and receivers to the flat and Nakobe Dean chasing the receivers. Sometimes they had 7 guys to block 5. It was an amazing game plan to watch. Ben Johnson really does understand the run game and how to get matchups. And then when you got guys, I think Jonah Jackson has a chance to be first-team All-Pro. Dalman has a chance to be a Pro Bowler. So does Joe Tooney. So does Darnell Wright. When you have guys like that rolling off the ball, moving guys like Jalen Carter, staying one-on-one with Jordan Davis, really, really fun physical football game to watch. Chicago Bears going to the world's champs house and dominate them like that on the ground.
Yeah, they bullied them. I mean, anytime in a short week too, Olin. And I would ask you, what was it about that game plan? I don't profess to understand the offensive line and what they're being asked to do, but it looked like there was a lot of misdirection. They were using the Eagles' front's aggression against them, and then it felt like, or it looked like to me, an untrained eye, that they tried to play a little hero ball at the end. They tried to freelance, and the Bears, like you said, just put them in the blender. But what was it about that short week game plan that Ben was so dialed in, and what did he see that he used against them?
Yeah, he saw that the linebackers and the safeties, their responsibilities in coverage. I'm sure, like you saw, with the motions and the shifts and how to get numbers on them. And, Vic Fangio is stubborn, right, with his two high safeties, and he's not going to add guys to the box unless it's absolutely necessary. And in his defense, it was only 10-9 at the end of fourth quarter, and the Eagles were about to take the lead before Nashawn Wright pulled that ball out on the tush push right now, which is not a tush fumble. So in his mind, it's working, right? In his mind, it's what he's doing. Go ahead, get 400 yards rushing. You only have 10 points, right? You're not scoring a bunch of points on us, and that's all he cares about. So he's stubborn there, but no one else really runs for the amount of yards the Bears ran for. The O-line still dominated the game plan that Coach Johnson put together, along with obviously his staff, as you're saying, the safeties and their responsibilities, taking advantage of guessing what coverage they're going to be in. And Kobe Dean, man, looked like he didn't know which way to go. There were plays on the goal line. I'm sure you guys saw when they pulled the two tight ends on the counter. The D tackle, there's like three defenders chasing Caleb Williams. He doesn't even have the ball. So they were confused, like you're saying, playing hero ball, trying to do too much, but just pure dominance rolling off the ball by guys like Jonah Jackson, Dalman, Darnell Wright. Really, Coach Dan Roshar has got these guys flying off the football. And we said last week on this show, whatever the Bears are, they are fun to watch on film. And that's what we meant, right? We meant, man, when these guys go to play, they go to roll off of football and attack you physically and try to end the game on that side, on the line of scrimmage first.
I thought it was symbolic of what this team has been all year long when, as Olin mentions, the Eagles, they get the interception and then they're driving. They're driving to take the lead. And
yes,
the flow of the game changed in the favor of the Eagles. And then Nashawn Wright steps in and rips that ball out. And from that point forward, it's like what has happened all year long, guys. Like, this defense is not dominant. They're bottom 10 in most statistical categories, but they get off the field. I think they allowed only 4 or 12 third down conversions, and they take the ball away. And once that offense is given the gift of the takeaway, then they make the most of it. Like, we can say all day long the Bears have had good fortune, but what they've done is they've made the most of the good fortune that they've been given. And I thought that was a perfect example. They took the ball 85 yards and just ran it down the throat of the Eagles, and I thought stole their spirit in that drive.
Well, by the way, the Dr. Pepper play of the game, Tommy called it. Nashawn Wright's forced fumble, recovery of the Jalen Hurts turnover on the tush push when the Bears had just a 10-9 lead, as Olin said, and the Eagles were driving. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Pleasing taste buds. It's $18.85. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper at a McDonald's near you. It's funny. I watched a lot of Eagles post game on demand over the weekend. The one with Ron Jaworski. He said, they stole our soul. And then I'm watching Shady McCoy, and he said, we got punked. I've never seen our team get punked like that. And then they talked about the tush push, and they said, how many fans on social? And I found a lot of them. We got to get rid of this tush push. It's not working for us anymore. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears did go in there, and their film, though, has been now for 2-3 weeks. The Steelers, now they didn't run the ball great against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, then running backs only averaged 3.1 yards a carry, right? And then versus Minnesota, it was a close game. And, the 4 games before that were all close football games, but the O-line has been steadily rolling off the ball. But we went into that match and said, okay, here's Jalen Carter, here's Jordan Davis. Here's a big challenge for this offensive line to see if they can physically impose themselves. And as Tom mentioned, after Nashawn Wright pulls that fumble on 12 plays, they run the ball 9 times in a game where the weather's bad, the wind's blowing. I think we'll talk about Ben Johnson talking about the pass game here in a little bit, but just the fact that you can say, look, we're just going to run the ball down the field here, man. And nothing tricky. I think Ben even said maybe I need to call a little more runs, but I think Ben does a nice job keeping them off balance, keeping them thinking, is it a screen? Is it a jet sweep? Does Caleb have the ball? All these things led to the run game being as good as it is, but physically dominant performance, even on the interception, right? Billings beating Cam Jurgens across his face on a nice little stunt that I think Coach Eberflus ran the week before. Your guy on interception, Byard, man, Ken Griffey Jr. out there in the center field, man, tracking that ball. It was a great play and a great catch. So just the things we've been seeing all year, this team has an identity, and as Tom talks about, they execute when it's time to win football games, and that wasn't an easy team to beat.
No, I would say this as well. I've been critical of Ryan Poles and some of the decisions he's made. You can argue he made a mess of the offensive line, but he fixed his own mess, and he deserves credit for it. And Nashawn Wright, adding him, people don't realize as well, Kevin Byard was signed last year. He played last year and played really well, albeit a dismal season for this team. That was a hell of a free agent signing, and it's paying huge dividends for them right now. Again, no GM is going to be perfect. I think you're also seeing, I've been a huge proponent of, look, identifying talent is one part of the game. Developing that talent is equally important. So if you're not developing the talent that's being brought in, it's just going to fester. So if it's not working in unison, it's not working in tandem where you're getting the right guys in, but then you're putting them in position to allow them to do what they do well. It has to work that way. If not, it's going to look bad on both sides.
They are players.
Cap, what did I text you about a week or two ago about Ryan Poles?
Olin was the first one to say it. He will be right there for executive of the year. Exactly.
Another thing I want to say, too, because I say it a lot when it's going the other way, about the Bears' physical performance is their strength staff, tip of the cap to them this late in the year, looking that strong on a football field. Obviously, their training's going right. They're keeping these guys in shape. They got high performance up there at Hallissaw. I always mention, if you go on their website and look up their strength staff and how many people are in their building getting these players ready for a game like that. When you see, and Cap mentioned, it's a short week, right? So the team that can turn around, recover, get in the weight room, get strong, come on that field and roll off the ball. There's a lot of people helping these players move in that direction.
Our apt player of the game, the offensive line, gets the honor. 47 carries, 281 yards rushing, 2 sacks allowed. Apt pleasing people since 1936. Apt.com. Tommy, you heard Olin talk about the offensive line. As a wide receiver, you also saw them do their share of blocking, but those 5 guys up front were simply magnificent. And when Ben Johnson gave them the game ball and Jonah Jackson addressed the team and said, you can ride us every week. Let's get ready for Green Bay. I know Olin was like a proud father looking at that.
You know what, too, guys? It's like Ben told you it was going to take time. And usually when you hear him say that, you're thinking he's talking about the quarterback in the passing game. But I would have think, and again, I defer to Olin here, I would think it's going to take time. When you have so many new faces on that offensive line, guys who haven't played together, it takes a while to learn each other's tendencies and then learn to trust each other with what's being asked of you to do. So, you go back and look at the adjustments that they have made over the course of this year. And the coach told you we'll be playing better ball in November and December than we were playing in September and in October. It's amazing. And I go back to this as too. I'll speak on behalf of how the receivers have blocked. If you guys remember, You go back to the Detroit game, I believe it was in week 2. And after that game, and they got boat raced, and everything about what they did was unacceptable. And Ben said, we don't practice like a championship team, and our effort isn't what it should be. And if you go back and look at that film, and I mentioned it at the time, there was a noticeable difference between how even Jamison Williams, who's not the biggest, burliest, and meanest guy in the world, he's a speed receiver out on the edge. Watch how hard Amon-Ra St. Brown goes after opponents and blocking. And I said to you guys, look, what our guys are doing doesn't match up to what the Lions are going to do and how they go about their business. And until that gap is narrowed, Ben isn't going to be happy. And then wouldn't you know, a few weeks later, you put on the tape and you see our wide receivers starting to play a full game. They're starting to be engaged, blocking downfield. They got the message, and now it's part of who they are. They start to look like they look like that group that in Detroit that takes so much pride blocking downfield. So I give them all a shit ton of credit.
Oh, gee.
Yep.
The weather is going to be a factor, I would think, this weekend. It's supposed to be 12 degrees. I'm going to be up there. I'm excited to be sitting in the stands for that game with my wife. But as a player, both of you guys have been in this game. It's hostile, it's loud, it's electric, and now both teams are really, really good. How much of a factor is that weather going to be for both of you guys when you look at this matchup?
It's always a factor, right? I was just down at Illinois this past week. You guys saw that storm that they had down there in the snow, and it was snowing and raining, and it affects the game. It affects, definitely, Tom can speak to this more than me, but it definitely affects the pass game, and that's why excited about this week. Now the Packers did lose their D tackle Devontae Wyatt, who's a really good football player in the middle for them. And Chicago Bears have a game that travels, right? They have a game that they can put on the field in cold weather, and they can run the football and then get what they need out of pass game, like with Caleb through to Cole Kmet, and if they need like one explosive play. But right now, Cap, it does affect the game. It lends itself a little more of a run game and try to find an explosive play in a pass game somewhere. And like you're saying, and Tom mentioned, Ryan Poles put together this offensive line, Jonah Jackson at right guard. I still want to know at some point, I got to go ask somebody there, gosh, what the hell did you guys do on your bye week after the Raiders game, right? Like, how did you guys get this run game turned in this direction with Swift and Monangai, man? I mean, some of those runs he had against the Eagles, when he puts his helmet down and runs through safeties and linebackers, he is a fun running back to watch. I didn't know if his game would translate that much to the NFL, but it sure has, man. And he runs really, really hard behind this offensive line, and credit a lot to Coach Bieniemy. But this run game is going to be fun, Cap, to watch against the Packers, and that's the way it affects the game.
I would agree, totally agree. Look, and the Packers will look at that film and they'll make some adjustments to what they saw the Eagles do. And I don't know how you feel, Olin. I watched the Packers Lions game from Thanksgiving, and I compare that to the two games I watched the Eagles play on tape leading into this game. I think the Packers are better defense. I think they play with more speed and more intensity. I think they run to the ball. I think they tackle better. I think they just do a lot of stuff better. With that in mind, I don't think you ever shy away from running the football. Even if the Packers are expecting it, you still keep pounding it because they've proven they can run it against good defenses. I would say, when you are going to throw the football, and Ben talked about it a little bit meeting the media the last few days, their receivers have got to be a little more precise with their route running. When the ground is a little bit soft and you're not as secure in your ins and outs of your cuts, you got to, you got to be much more tuned into these specifics and little things. And, I would expect them to, one of the things I'm expecting to see from them is a little more boot action. I think, maybe that's the wrinkle you get in the running game is you get a little bit more design runs for Caleb where they get him out on the edge a little bit, little run pass option, and let him make some decisions. I think that we really didn't see a ton of that. I think you saw, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of, Caleb did a good job following through with his fake. After he'd hand the ball off, he'd circle around and just I think he was keeping the Eagles wise and trying to keep them disciplined so it would create some space. But I think there are going to be some opportunities for Caleb to tuck and run against his Packers defense.
The cold, Olin, did you wear no sleeves when you were playing in bitter cold? Same for you, Tommy. I know I was talking to my son Garrett. He played Division III left guard. He's like, sleeves. Never wore sleeves, ever. Not giving you anything you can grab onto. Not a chance. You guys never did, right?
The question is disrespectful, Cap.
The audience wants to know. I already knew the answer.
Well, look, listen, when I got here, obviously, I grew up in Hawaii and I played football at Washington, but my former teammate, Big Cat Williams, said, look here, there's no sleeves. So when Big Cat says no sleeves, and I think Kyle Long ruined that for everybody when he came out with his sleeves and, ruined our tradition here. But no sleeves, but I did. So canoe paddlers and divers in Hawaii, they wear like a bodysuit with no sleeves. And all you got to do is keep your core warm.
Mm-hmm.
Core, your hands, your core, and your feet are warm. You're good to go. People make too much out of the arms. You don't get cold from your arms.
I was wearing sleeves, but just because I was trying to hide the shoelaces that were coming from my shoulder pads. There was no reason for me to be bowing up and greasing up my arms because there was nothing there. The one thing, like the technology sucked so bad back in the day, like those Newman gloves, they would freeze. Like the leather was, I mean, if you got cold or it was wet out there, it made it more difficult to catch the ball. So I never wore gloves. I just wore one of those kind of hand warmers that you kind of just put your hands in between plays. And then when you get to the line of scrimmage, you just swing it around. And I just had like some of those hot packs in that device. But yeah, it wasn't about warmth for me. It was about, I was embarrassed with my arm size.
Cap, I always tell people this. Look, they say, oh, you go no sleeves just to be tough. And I said, look, man, if it's okay to paint your toenails, your fingernails, and do your eyebrows nowadays, it's okay to be tough sometimes too.
No question about it. No question. Aaron Wolf says, is it too early to say this team could be in the Super Bowl? I liked when they asked Ben Johnson yesterday, Coach, you're the number 1 seed right now. He said, yeah, we've got 5 games left to play. I'm just trying to win a football game this
Did he rip his shirt off?
He had already
say,
ripped his
yeah,
shirt.
we are.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like one game at a time mentality. When you guys played, was it hard?
If you make $13 million a year, you can feed the city without taking your shirt off. Just an idea.
Yeah,
just an idea.
That's a valid point.
Yeah, it's just an idea. Yes, just he says man to people. He wants to feed the city. I mean, I hope his foundation says the same thing. Anyway, Cap, go ahead, ask your question.
When you guys were playing and you went into a game like this, was it always hey, I'm just worried about one game at a time? Did you ever find yourself like your Super Bowl year, Olin, looking ahead and going, okay, we got to get X number of wins to get where we want to get to?
Well, I mean, I think this game is so big for the Bears. I don't think you have to worry about that, right? I think it's the Packers. They're 83. It's for the North. It's for your division. They're not looking ahead on it. I think they got their focus on this game, getting better, improving. Coach Ben Johnson did a nice job pointing out on what they have to improve on. I'm sure the defense is talking about the mistakes that they made during the game, right? Especially the drives that got the Philadelphia Eagles close when A.J. Brown was making his catches in the run game. Saquon Barkley got going a little bit. And then there's also the run by Jalen Hurts, I think, for 20-something yards. So they're trying to get those things corrected, right? And they're moving in the right direction. But they can point to those. I think the 4 games before this game were 1-score games. And a lot of people were saying that they were getting lucky. And I think they said after the game, how do you like us now, right? How do the critics like us now? And that's what good football teams do. They talk trash to the critics because they're winning football games as they should, Cap. But I don't think anybody at Hallis Hall is looking past the Packers.
No. And I think, too, it's a good point about, look, whatever it takes to motivate you. If I was Ben Johnson, I'd be telling his team right now, look, you're the number 1 seed in all of the NFC. You're a 7-point underdog. And if you go by some of these prediction models, despite being the number 1 seed, do you guys realize that the 1 through 7 seeds right now in the NFC, some of these ridiculous prediction models have them as the least likely team to actually make the postseason. And that's the kind of shit, like, I mean, it seems hollow and it seems childish and it seems whatever. Use it. You know what I mean? Like, we're not
use it to motivate your guys.
Like, I mean, in this team, I don't think this team looks past yesterday tomorrow. I just don't. I don't think they look through anybody. I don't think the coaching staff allows them to do that. So I mean, this game is more important, in my opinion, than the last one. This is a division opponent. The Packers are 3-0 in the division. I mean, they're all important, but this one to me would mean a lot. First of all, you got to start winning in your division more frequently and more consistently. And if you do, you beat the Packers, you put a little more distance between yourself and them. So you take another step towards winning your division, which should be your goal.
By the way, I believe that I am a very coachable person. Tommy has taught me a lot of stuff. When Olin says to me, there's this guy, Nicholas Moriano, you should absolutely talk to him. He's sitting right here in our studio, and he posted this. He's now on our recap team. Here's what Packers safety Xavier McKinney said about the Bears. Quote, they're creative. The play calling is a lot more creative than what they've done in the past. End quote. It's just so different. Like the mentality, the city is on fire because of the Chicago Bears.
Tom, I don't know what you think, but I mean, when I watch this film, maybe McVay is as good or better than Ben Johnson, and obviously Sean McVay, the Rams head coach. He has Stafford, who's an older quarterback who knows how to run things a lot more, and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, and they have a lot of football players over there. But Ben Johnson, man, he's 3-4 steps ahead of people. I describe it as a blender. It looks like they're spinning out there. The safeties don't know where to fit their run fits. They don't know who they got to cover. The communication. It's like, okay, what is the one play and what's the exact motion and shift you should have here? And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and he does such a great job tying the run and the pass together. I mean, like you said, Olin, if you're a defensive player, you don't know what the hell's coming at you. You really don't. And I think the good coordinators, they do stuff in the first series or two, not just to move the ball down the field, because it's not a useless possession, obviously. But what you try to do at times too is set up that defense for something later down the road. And look, I think all of the motion and all of the shifting and all of the different formations, what it does is it forces a defensive coordinator. Jeff Hafley is probably going to be up till 3 a.m. These Packers defenders are going to have to, put more time into film study and making sure they're ready for this attack. This is not just a bland, I got 10 plays and I'm going to run them and we force you to stop them. No. He gives you a schematic advantage most Sundays out there, and I don't anticipate, that taking a breather anytime soon. He works people out.
Erica says TJ Watt wears sleeves, LOL. We don't ever highlight TJ Watt on this show. I tried to teach you that, Olin.
Yeah, but I just wanted to end that with what Tom was talking about. I called 3 or 4 guys I know this week, O-line coaches that coach in college and around the NFL. And I said, you got to watch this film. You got to watch it, Ben Johnson and Dan Rochar and what they came over. Remember now, Ben said when he came in, he wanted people from different systems that were really good, right? That he wanted to learn from. And you can see like Declan Doyle in New Orleans and Dan Rochar coached down there too with Sean Payton. And you can see Bieniemy, a little bit of those RPOs from under center, like an RPO release by the 2 receivers to the right of formation. It is really, if you like football, if you like the run game, it is a really fun film. Like I can't wait for the all 22 to come out to see what concepts they were doing, how, like you guys are saying, how did they confuse that defense? And remember, guys, it wasn't anybody they were going against. That was Vic Fangio, man. Like the amount of respect people have for him around the NFL, and a little defense of Vic. It was, like I talked about, 10-9 because of a missed extra point there in the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth. No matter how many rush yards they have, I know Vic pretty well. You guys know him. He'll say to you, I don't really care. Like you only have 10 points.
Yeah. It is wild. Like he makes you think constantly. I think we spent a lot of time, leading into this season talking about Ben Johnson, this creative genius throwing the football. He's got, Caleb Williams, the first pick of the draft, and all these receivers and tight ends. The foundation of what Ben Johnson does is
run the ball, man.
And everything kind of branches off from that, and it makes everything possible. So, it's been a joy to watch. It really has. I mean, they got more work to do. I'm not suggesting they're a finished product. There's more work to do. This is going to be, I think, a stiffer challenge for them in Green Bay. But this team has been a joy to watch them develop and grow as a group for sure.
Hey, our Chevy drive of the game, Chevy drives Chicago. 12 plays, 87 yards, took 6:44 off the clock. Kyle Monangai, a 4-yard touchdown run to put the Bears up 17-9. That was a huge answer after the key play. That was the strip of the tush push, and then it ends up with Monangai in the end zone. But I think I was on the phone with Olin the other day about the run that Monangai had into the end zone. I think Jonah Jackson might have killed somebody. He absolutely just follow me, big guy, and he just destroyed somebody.
Hey, man, that guy rose off the ball, Cap. And listen, Cap, is everything okay? Because you keep screaming into the microphone. Do you want us talking or not?
He keeps asking people in the building questions.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
He's not a very good multitasker, Olin. We all know that over years.
My hearing's not what it used to be.
I know, he just keeps, we're trying to finish the sentence. He's yelling in the microphone.
Bad production in here. They're supposed to mute my mic.
Whatever we're drinking, at least share some.
Quit pointing fingers, Cap. Be a good teammate.
Listen, Jonah Jackson, Cap, fun to watch, man. He really is. Whatever language Coach Rochard is speaking, and I'm not going to throw you guys in my boat. I worried about Motive in the right guard. You guys both know that. I didn't like it. I thought he was an all-pro left guard. I thought he was the best run-blocking left guard in the NFL in Detroit. But listen, he moved to the right side. I mean, I don't want to say struggled, but the first few games weren't great. Came back from the bye week, but right now, man, he is on a roll, and he rose his pad level. He's a good enough athlete on the second level to get on linebackers. He is really fun to watch on film in the run game.
You know, that's such a great point too. About look, that's how your building has to work. Because I don't believe, maybe I'm wrong, I don't believe Ryan Poles trades for Jonah Jackson without Ben Johnson saying, "Look, I worked with Jonah in Detroit.
He can make this move.
We need to make this move. He's been hurt in Los Angeles. He's kind of fallen out of favor. Bring him here. We'll get him right." Like, and that's the way it's, like I said, that's the way it's got to work. Your coach and you know, tip of the cap to you know, Ben Johnson knowing what he needs, but to be able to work together like that, identify guys, find ways to bring them in, and yeah, they're hitting on all cylinders right now. And again, the fun thing is, guys, is I don't think that, I mean, do you guys believe they've played a full, complete game?
No, yet? I've said to you guys, I fully expect at some point we go, wow, that looks like the number one pick. I don't mean for a throw, like the throw to Komet, magnificent. Yeah. The drives in some of these games to bring you, cool. I want to see a game where I go, oh my God, that guy looked amazing for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, like there have been a couple of games where you've won them because of your quarterback, but for the most part, I mean, you guys realize the last 8 weeks, I think since the bye, they're averaging 180 rushing yards per game.
So I want to know when Olin has that meeting and someone tells him what they discussed at the bye. I'd like to buy some of that.
Yeah. Well, and also Caleb in a lot of those games now, he is the second leading rusher, right? Like his legs running out of the pocket. Yeah. They were really good on third downs in this game, right? He found Colson Loveland one time so they could go for it on fourth down. Colson Loveland's been fun to watch. I'm sure Tom loves watching that guy run routes and catching a damn football. But he is doing a lot of good things. I think Ben wants, like his run game, he wants to be great, right? I think Ben looks like he wants 500 yards of offense a game and 40 points. And I tell you what, man, the way that guy calls plays, and it looks like there is receivers open and the run game opens up, you know, like the screen, or, you know, the second play of the game is a screen, right? And I remember I was watching them line the wide receiver up outside of the defensive end, Nolan Smith versus Algie Trapillo. And I remember Sean Payton in New Orleans saying, look, he asked Jared Allen one year, what's the biggest way to affect the pass rusher? He says, not from the backfield. It's not from help from the inside. It's from standing someone out on the line of scrimmage outside of the DM. That's what they worry about the most. So talk about things they're doing. Second play of the game is a screen to Trapillo side. Really, everything is thought about. Everything is planned. Everything is like I talk about, stop the film, which is easy for me, and say, wow, what would I call against this defense, this coverage, if they're in this front? The Bears have that play called a lot of times. It really is something to watch.
The interception that Caleb threw, if you watch the play on film, that thing's going for 30 plus. If in fact
he just gets it over the top of the guy.
And it's like those are the little things that you can clean up, because that's just poor technique from the quarterback. You have to understand, sometimes it's just a defender making a great play and you tip your cap. But sometimes you can mitigate that as well if, in fact, your quarterback realizes the situation he's in and just gets up on his toes and gets that ball over the top, because it was a perfectly designed play. So, that's what I'm talking about, where that they haven't reached their ceiling. When your young quarterback hasn't completed 60% of his passes in 8 of his 12 games, there's room to grow. And you do see, and I think we've discussed this, you do see a ton of progress that doesn't necessarily manifest itself in the stats, but you can see it's coming. And if he can clean some stuff up and he can be more disciplined with his foundation when he's throwing the ball, his accuracy will get a little bit better. But I don't know how you guys feel. I don't think he's ever going to be 70%. I think part of his DNA is he has played out of structure for so long.
He's a gunslinger.
Yeah, and you're going to have some moments where your platform and your foundation isn't where it should be, and you're going to miss some throws. But you overcome a lot of that because you do make big plays. You do have somewhat of a clutch gene in you, and you can still make these, there are monster moments in the game that you're responsible for. So if you can kind of marry that playmaking gene with a more efficient and structured quarterback, which I think is coming, now you got a guy that, scares the hell out of everyone in the league.
All right, we're going to take our timeout. When we come back, I want to tell you what Howie Long said about the Bears, get you guys to react, more specifically about Caleb Williams. We'll be right back at Studio 41 Football Recap Live.
Our family had been talking about redoing the kitchen for a long time. Studio 41 had all the pieces I wanted.
With Studio 41, we found their prices competitive. They helped us stay on a budget.
They spent a lot of time with me in the studio, and I got to touch and feel things.
Our big fear was, if you go online, who's standing behind the product? Studio 41 had the best selection, and they took her ideas and brought it to life.
It was everything I dreamed it could be.
Visit studio41.com to find a showroom near you.
Okay, we're just here for dishwashers.
Just a dishwasher.
At Vertical Chimney Care, our goal is to keep you warm and safe. Since 1985, we've been doing just that, providing our Chicagoland neighbors value, reliability, and peace of mind. From chimney cleanings and flue liners to fireplace rebuilds and restorations, the chimney technicians and expert masons deliver top quality inspections, maintenance, and repairs using the latest fire safety technology with quality you can trust. At Vertical, we aim to treat every home like it's our own home. Vertical, trusted by homeowners, built on care.
All right, our vertical catch of the game. It's Kevin Byard's diving interception on the Eagles' second drive of the second half, right near midfield. Jalen Hurts picked for just the second time this year. Byard leads the National Football League now with 6 interceptions. Vertical in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. I've got a gas fireplace I bought at Vertical. They are awesome. VerticalChimney.com. So I don't know if you guys heard Howie Long, who he compared Caleb Williams to. Did you hear it? Did you hear it, Olin?
I did. I heard what he said, yes.
That he's this generation's John Elway. When you guys hear that, everyone thinks of Elway, the Super Bowl champion, but at the start of his career, he was an inaccurate passer who developed into one of the best players in the history of the sport at his position. When you hear that, what do you guys think?
I think it's a little early to go there. Love Howie. I think if you're talking about style of play, I can totally agree with that. I think if you go back in time, look, the game has evolved in such a way where, John Elway probably threw more interceptions than touchdowns in several years and probably had a completion percentage that hovered in mid-50s. The game has just been so, offensive tilted and the game has changed in such a way that statistically things look different. But I can see the comparison from this perspective, Cap. He's a dual threat. There's no question. He's a great athlete. He's a big play hunter, and he can throw the ball through a brick wall. So getting the ball anywhere on the field is not a problem for him. So big arm, strong player, versatile. I can see the comparison, but I wince anytime you compare the second-year players to, Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I'm like Tom, man. Howie is like, he sits on Mount Rushmore. So he says something. This kind of, she's like, there's no one who doesn't love Howie the way he played the game and what he does say. But I want to go back to Byard real quick too, Cap. The thing I liked about that interception, you remember Jalen Hurts' pregame interview when she said, "What do you do because the Bears are number one taking the ball away?" And he said, "Well, just so you know, we're number one and not giving the ball up." So it was great that the Bears got that interception. But, maybe also how he's talking about it took John late in his career when he got that run game going with Alex Gibbs and Shanahan and Terrell Davis and that outside zone boot scheme that, Tom was talking about, getting outside the pocket, rolling out, giving him half-field reads, letting him use his athleticism and his big arm. Like we saw Caleb roll to his left, flip his hips, and then put touch on the ball to Cole Kmet. I mean, there's a lot of struggling going on, but there are certain things that this young quarterback can do, and that's what Howard's talking about. But as Thomas, our second-year guy, Hall of Fame, it's a big comparison. It's a big comparison to say, and I don't want to say Howie's wrong, and we just don't know yet.
Yeah, I would. That's all I would say. Look, I love Howie. His analysis is good or better than anybody. It's just, I do understand the comparison of the traits. I do see that. I would want to say one other thing about Kevin Byard as well. Go back and look at some of the open field tackles he made in that game as well. Not only has he done a great job taking the football away, he's done a really good job tackling in space. And I would not be shocked in the slightest if not only was he getting Pro Bowl consideration, but all pro consideration.
Yeah. No question. He's been a two-time All-Pro. And I am hearing that the Bears are interested in getting an extension done with him. And Kevin's been pretty open with Ryan McGuffey, my partner here. He said, guys, I don't want to be the guy who plays Chicago this year, and then I sign a one-year deal there, and then I sign a 1 year just to hang on. He goes, no. He said, I'd like to stay somewhere where I'm comfortable, and I love it here. So why they wouldn't want him back, I don't know.
Cap, he's a friend of the show, and I don't want to. As you guys know, I'm not a biased guy. It's whatever the film says, and the guy, he's a winner. He does what winners do, and guys like that, you keep them in your locker room because they help you win football games. The awareness that the Chicago Bears secondary plays. I saw someone say, "Look, it looks like they were running the routes for the Philadelphia Eagles, the things they're seeing." And then now Dennis Allen goes to this dime defense where he has C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kyler Gordon on the edge blitzing, and Jalen Johnson is back, and if Edwards comes back, and Tremaine Edmonds, I don't know, Tyreek Stevenson. The sky could be the limit for this secondary.
Yeah, and add this as well, guys. I don't think it's a coincidence that the teams that Al Harris has been associated with, somebody in that secondary that he's been coaching has led the NFL in interceptions like 2 or 3 years he's been there. Like Nashawn Wright and Kevin Byard at the top of the list here. You go back to the Dallas days, and I believe it was Trevon Diggs, right? At 1 year led the league in interceptions. And I believe last year or 2 years ago, was it Bland, I think? So somebody –
Bland, yeah.
Yeah, somebody has always taken the ball away wherever Al Harris has been. Coincidence? Maybe a little.
No.
But like he deserves a shit ton of credit too for what he's gotten out of that group.
Let me ask you guys. I think it was Tommy. Tommy, were you the one that told me Ditka would not allow you to take your helmets off when you came out of the locker room in Green Bay?
No, that wasn't me. No, we weren't. When at Boston College, we weren't allowed to take our helmets off coming out of the locker room in West Virginia. That's
okay. So maybe it was Thayer who told me when you at Lambeau, Ditka said, we're not taking our helmets off because they're going to fire batteries at us and hot keys and all this other stuff. So I remember Mark Grace. Tommy was there. We were playing golf with Mark Grace, and he said he would go to Shea Stadium, and because of the rivalry of the two franchises, they would say the most foul things to him. He goes, and then one day an old lady threw a crutch at him at first base, literally whipped a crutch onto the field. What is it like being Tom Waddle, Olin Kreutz, walking onto the field at Lambeau and knowing they hate you?
Mm-hmm.
Got to be awesome.
It's awesome. It really is an awesome place to play because they hate you so much and they love their football. And when you're driving through, the neighborhood to get to their stadium, everyone's flicking you off and screaming at you and the bus. And, even the oldest lady you can imagine is yelling things at you that you can't say on this podcast. But listen, man, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it amazing to play the Green Bay Packers in that stadium. Hate to say, don't like the Packers, but did love playing there at Lambeau Field. And just because of the rivalry, and you saw them, I think I played against the Packers 27 times, 28 if you count the playoffs. So have a lot of games against the Green Bay Packers. My first game at New Orleans was against the Green Bay Packers up there in Green Bay. So I got a lot of chances to play up there against that team and always had fun, and it was always a good rivalry.
Yeah, I just love. I loved being there, and maybe it sounds weird to say, but you could feel the history in that building, and it's kind of like this is what the gift of being an NFL player is all about. It's funny, it's the same thing. Like I remember, I don't know if it changed when you were playing there, Olin, but like your bus would drive in, and if I'm not mistaken, it'd go down a little bit of a ramp, and there was, what you would think was a nice old, grandmother sitting at the top of the ramp, waiting to wave at you. Hey, and she was there toothless with a double bird coming your way. And you knew it was on when you would get there. And it was just awesome. It really was. It was an awesome place to play for sure.
Most game days started with Rambo. I don't know if anybody ever saw the video someone did on the guy they called Rambo up there when we used to go to Platteville.
Yeah.
And Rambo, Rambo was outside the bus, and he was in his Bears gear telling us that, Brett Favre was a Nazi and that you got to watch these guys and you got to build a bunker, and he's yelling hud hud and throwing passes and asking to get on the bus so he can play for us. So it was always something interesting going on the Green Bay trip.
I thought Olin too. The one thing that surprised me most about, and he was there every Platteville trip. I spent 6 years in Platteville during training camp. He had a beautiful Corvette he'd get in and out of before every practice. He'd park that Corvette, get out, do some sort of crazy shit, and then we'd hop the Corvette and drive away.
If I remember correctly, he would yell a snap count cap in the middle of practice. And sometimes guys would jump off sides, and Dave Wanstead was going nuts.
He had this beautiful car, and I had this shit box of like a GMC Spirit that was wrecked and had the bumper in the back seat. Rambo had this beautiful Corvette. I was jealous as hell.
When you guys went into play, I remember standing at Michael Jordan's locker covering a road game in Utah, and he scored 30-some points. How much do you like playing here, Michael? Obviously, the United Center or the stadium are your favorite stadiums. He's like, look, I don't mean any disrespect by this. I love our home crowd. I love playing there. There is nothing like going on the road and sticking it up the ass of all those fans that I know hate me, and it motivates me, and I have even more fun playing on the road. Did you guys feel that way? OG?
Yeah, like when you watch what the Bears did last week, go on the road, run the football. I think it was 2006. We did that to the Packers. I think it was 24-0 or something the season. And it was just, we were running the football, and it's amazing to do in someone else's stadium when the place goes quiet. You go on the road, it's just you and your football team. There's nothing better than going on the road and physically beating a football team like the Bears did last week in Philadelphia. The beer tastes really good on the bus.
I thought Minnesota was probably the biggest front running crowd that I ever played against. Like when you were down, you couldn't hear yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They were just ridiculously, offensive and
with that stupid that horn.
But when you were giving it to them, you could hear a pin drop in that building. Like it was bad. I don't know if it's changed. I haven't been to the new stadium, but like back in the day. Whereas like you go to Green Bay, it doesn't matter if you're up 30 or you're down 30. They're in your ear for 3.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be fun. Our Caleb Williams Winging It numbers brought to you by our great partners at Hooters. We will be next week in Aurora for this show next Tuesday night. Caleb Williams, 17 of 36, 154 yards, a touchdown, a pick, 5 carries for 13 yards. Original Hooters.com for one of the 11 Chicagoland locations. And it was interesting. Ben Johnson spoke yesterday. We're winning in spite of our pass game. And then today he says, I want to clarify something here. You guys took those comments as criticism of Caleb. I didn't mean it that way at all. In fact, I was very pleased with how he played last week. We just have to all get more out of the passing game. He said we had some guys not run the right depths on their routes. Tommy talked about that a little earlier. We have got to get more out of that pass game. Is this because it's going to be so cold? Is it going to be tough to do that? Or if it's not windy, it doesn't matter?
I would say, first of all, like I didn't think that what the coach said initially was offensive to the quarterback at all, because I think after he said what he said, immediately he talked about how he just got done meeting with the wide receivers and making sure you're precise with your depths of the routes that are expected. I didn't think he threw his quarterback under the bus, so I didn't even think it was necessary that he had to go back today
and clarify it.
But I will say this, as much as he is a truth teller, he's also a people manager. And he knows he's got something special going right now. And the last thing he would ever want to do is say anything that, whether it's valid or not, that would be misconstrued by his young quarterback as potentially bus tossing. So I had no problem that he came out today and kind of wanted to smooth that over. But I didn't think anything he said on Monday was out of line, offensive, or bus tossing in any way, shape, or form.
Did you, Olin?
Well, when you say the passing game's not working, there's only one guy passing the football, right? So obviously it could be taken that way. And if Caleb did and everyone took it that way, he came out and said, look, man, like I didn't, because like Tom, I'm a former player. I kind of heard what he said about details and getting the thing going in the right direction and realizing that that's the tight ends and the receivers and the running backs on the release and the blocking, right? We saw Ozzie Trapillo get beat clean by Nolan Smith on one play on the 1 second. How Caleb avoided that, the first guy, is unbelievable to me. But the pass game has been off. But look, against the Steelers, he was just 19 for 35 for 239 and 3 touchdowns, right? And like I said, against the Steelers, the run game was amazing against the Eagles, but against the Steelers, the running backs averaged 3.1 yards a carry, right? So the pass game has been a little off. They do have, like, there's some times when it's inaccurate, but we don't know, are the receivers in the right spot? Are they reading it correctly? Are they supposed to sit down in the zone? Are they supposed to continue in the zone? Those are all the things, whatever Antoine Randall and Coach Johnson are asking him to do. Those are all the things we don't know. But, he felt like he had to clarify it. So somebody got in his ear and said, look, this has been taken the wrong way. So he came out and said, and good thing when he came out to clarify it, he had his shirt on, but he came out and said, look, I just, but I don't think any player would have took that as he meant Caleb.
What's funny too is now you're 9-3, you're at the top of your division. Mm-hmm. Everything that's being said up there now is being scrutinized and heard by a larger audience because mm-hmm. more people are being dialed in. So I don't blame him at all for wanting to do it. When I heard what he said, I also thought about wide receivers dropping too many passes. I thought about guys slipping and not getting their feet underneath them. There were a couple of throws that weren't completed, not because Caleb was inaccurate, but because the receivers fundamentally weren't sound enough to make sure that, whether it's you need to put different cleats on or you need to get over the balls of your feet, you got to stop slipping because these are big plays that are open and need to be hit. So I actually didn't think he was focusing solely on the quarterback when he said it the first time because of the, maybe I'm just thinking as a, from a receiver's perspective, but there's a lot of things. This is why I'm so excited about this offense, because you clean up some of this stuff and Lord knows how many points they can average, it's kind of crazy.
It is. Hey, our Special Olympics Illinois special teams play the game. Jake Elliott's missed extra point after what would have been the tying touchdown, kept the game at 10-9, forced the Eagles to go for a 2-point conversion late in the game. That's led to a lot of debate. When voices tell us you can't or you won't, we simply say, I did. Special Olympics Illinois. So I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. There was a lot of consternation. Some people, me included, I would not have gone for 2 when they did. Greg Olson absolutely would have gone for 2. Some of the old school people that I heard, coaches and former players, they would have kicked the extra point. Olin, you were a coach up till this year. What would you have gone for 2 there, or would you have kicked the extra point to get it to 8 and go, if I get the ball back, then I'll go for 2?
Since I didn't take, statistics and mathematics class at University of Miami like Greg Olson did, obviously, when he has all his statistics majors around him, and all of a sudden he sits on a soapbox nowadays when he talks about things like this. I probably would have kicked the extra point because I just want to keep my team in the game. I don't want to end the game that early, and I understand you can still get the onside kick. You still do a lot of different things, but just want to keep my team involved, keep the momentum. I think momentum's a real thing. I probably would have kicked the extra point. I understand with all these statistics nowadays and all these math majors that they have in this building, and everyone is, they've got to do the smart thing and the thing that you're supposed to do. I would have liked to keep the momentum personally.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of the Watt family. JJ came out and said he would have kicked the extra point because he said if you miss, you basically have ended the game. I want to keep my defense engaged. Tommy?
I think you also have to have, it's easy for us to sit on the outside without knowing. I think it's part of the feel of being a coach. You know where your team's at. Do you feel the momentum in your building? Are you guys hanging their heads? Where are you at? You're talking to the leaders of your team, wondering where, either way, you're going to have to get a 2-point conversion. So get it now, get it then. It comes down to execution. So, I didn't feel passionate either way. I got to be honest with you, not to waffle any direction, but I didn't have a problem that they did go for it, because if you go for it, you don't make it, then you need 2 possessions. But then people would say, well, is that a kick in the nuts because you don't have that much time left? Maybe because there was not a ton of time left, it would have been better to kick the extra point and keep your game, your team motivated, but
engaged.
Yeah.
All right. Before I let you guys go, let's do our preview. We'll get Olin's keys. Tommy and I will make our picks. It's our look ahead, brought to you by our great partners at the Illinois Tollway. Bears fans, let's be real. Whether you're heading to Soldier Field, cruising down I-90, or road tripping out of state, nobody likes sitting in line at the tolls, and that's where iPass comes in. I've got one. You should too. With iPass, you save 50% on Illinois tollways. It works seamlessly on all Easy Pass roads across the United States. No more invoices, no waiting, just automatic payments and alerts when your balance is low. It's the fastest, easiest way to hit the road and save money while you're at it. Sign up for iPass today. Olin, the 2 biggest keys to winning this football game.
I think when the Bears played the Steelers, Coach Johnson came out and said they have a couple of werewolves on the edge, and T.J. Watt and Nick Herbig and Highsmith. Well, you have the lead werewolf here coming up in Micah Parsons, man, and you got to find a way to keep him from ruining your game and being a game wrecker like we've seen him do so many times against other football teams. Obviously, for the Chicago Bears, Cap, we talked about earlier, continue that run game, continue to keep them off balance. They lost their really good defensive tackle, Devontae Wyatt. Horrible injury for him. Really good football player. Do they get Quay Walker back this week, their linebacker? I don't know that, but keep them off balance and then keep the offense on schedule, third and manageable, convert the first downs. And then, for the Chicago Bears defense, Coach Dennis Allen's did a nice job finding ways to get pressure. They got to get a little pressure on the quarterback love this week, get him off balance. The Bears going to this game, man, honestly, when I watch the film, they match up really, really well against this football team.
Yeah, I agree with the concept of getting to Love. I'm still not sure where I am on him. I think he's inconsistent statistically. I think he's 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 67% completion percentage. I watched the Thursday game against the Lions, and I came away still thinking, like, at times he looks like Aaron Rodgers in his prime, and other times he looks like Aaron Rodgers in a Steelers uniform. So there's some inconsistency there, and I think he's very much bothered by pressure. He gets a little bit frantic, and he'll either throw it away or he'll throw it up for grabs if you get to him. Cap, I picked against the Bears last week. I think I picked the Eagles 24-20 to win the game. So I think the Bears can win all of these games. I don't think they're getting blown out at any stage of the rest of the season. But this one, I would still probably lean to the Packers by a field goal. And I would say that Packers 23-20. But again, if you told me the Bears would walk away with a win the way they did in Philadelphia, would not surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, I think the Bears win the football game. I really do. I think if they get behind, if you turn it over early and you go, oh, God, we're 10 in the hole, 14, God forbid, in the hole, now it's a recipe for disaster because Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons could tee off. Losing the big man in the middle obviously is a problem. But if you are right in this football game and you can establish your run, I absolutely think they can win, and I think they're going to win. I do think the Bears win the football game 23-17, my final. 23-17. I will be there. I cannot wait to be in the stands for this.
Yeah, I got a real problem this week because I never, ever picked the Packers over the Bears, no matter what. But I picked against the Bears the last 3 weeks, and they won. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do this week. I think – I picked Minnesota, I picked the Steelers, and I picked the Eagles, and I've been wrong. The Bears continue to prove me wrong and find ways to win these football games. But, man, I mean, this is awesome. I don't know. Really, I was wondering what you guys thought. I mean, I thought the Rams were the only team, after I watched the film last week, that were better than the Bears. Yep. But then when they lost to Carolina, I mean, I really don't know anymore.
I thought the Rams were the only team I looked at in the NFC, and I said, well, I don't think the Bears can beat them.
And then they go look horrible against Carolina.
Yeah, it just tells you that the NFL is difficult, I mean, every good team, though, is, you're going to have a bad game every now and again. So I would still believe that the Rams are the class of the NFC at this point.
By the way, when I think it was my freshman year of college, maybe my senior year of high school.
1922?
21, Olin, be accurate. The Bears were playing the Packers at Soldier Field, and neither team was great. And I'm watching this game going, the Bears won 61-7. I'll never forget it. Boy, would that be fun to watch. But just find a way to win a football game.
Yeah, I'm with it.
It's been a good year. It's been a fun year. We talked about it last week, man. This is a fun field. The way the coaches coach and the players play. I don't know the result of the game, but they're a fun team to watch.
They are. Guys, thank you for your time. I'll see you next Tuesday, and enjoy the game and bear down. Let's find a way to win a football game.
Appreciate it, guys.
See you guys. There he is.
Studio 41 Football Recap Live is brought to you by Studio 41 Home Design Showroom. 13 locations, studio41.com. Vertical, in business since 1985. Chicago's chimney experts for chimney cleanings, masonry work, gas logs. Verticalchimney.com. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons.
The Illinois Tollway. If you're a true Chicago fan who loves speed and efficiency, join the team that always wins. Sign up for iPass today. Driving to the Bears game? You get a 50% discount on your tolls with iPass.
Our family had been talking about redoing the kitchen for a long time. Studio 41 had all the pieces I wanted.
With Studio 41, we found their prices competitive. They helped us stay on a budget.
They spent a lot of time with me in the studio, and I got to touch and feel things.
Our big fear was if you go online, who's standing behind the product? Studio 41 had the best selection, and they took her ideas and brought it to life.
It was everything I dreamed it could be.
Visit studio41.com to find a showroom near you.
Okay, we're just here for dishwashers.
Just a dishwasher.
At Vertical Chimney Care, our goal is to keep you warm and safe. Since 1985, we've been doing just that, providing our Chicagoland neighbors value, reliability, and peace of mind. From chimney cleanings and flue liners to fireplace rebuilds and restorations, the chimney technicians and expert masons deliver top quality inspections, maintenance, and repairs using the latest fire safety technology with quality you can trust. At Vertical, we aim to treat every home like it's our own home.